the morning of, you guessed it, May the 6th, 2015. Clicking wrong buttons early in the game, Dana. Yeah, that's right. And Chernobyl is millions times less than Fukushima. See, I was supposed to say it the other way. It's just what it is. Fukushima is millions times more. Just the reactors, not counting the reactor cores that were on the roof of the buildings that are missing. Have you seen the buildings? Well, that's number one behind you. Behind cardboard cutout Dana there. Who'll come back into the game soon. Get cardboard cutout Dana back into the show soon enough. Let me show you the buildings very quick before I forget, because I should always do that each morning. That's reactor 1. This is reactor 2 coming up. Hang on, give me a second. This is reactor 3. This is reactor 4. Now, they are all many, many, many Chernobyls. And they did not survive like that building, see? That's a weird way to put it, Dana. So that's number 4. It doesn't look like that inside, despite TEPCO coming out and showing you that a month ago. Are you not outraged that they sat in front of the Washington Press Club? And we'll just play that out for a second. This is TEPCO 1 month ago telling you that that's going to show you that picture coming up is inside of this thing here. Inside of that. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making that up. Check it out.
And Fukushima Daiichi stage, right after the accident, it was of course the emergency condition. But right now, gradually became the decommissioning stage, more stable decommissioning stage, and that's that. As I mentioned, the success.
And then voila, it looked like that all of a sudden. It was that easy. We sent in all the homeless people. No, we got no proof that we done that. Why would we want to show? But you got to take our word for it. We're TEPCO, right? So we just got to automatically take the word of a corporation. Am I missing something? Are we missing something in this equation? Well, they couldn't do that at Chernobyl. They still can't do that at Chernobyl. Let me fix that for you. They still can't do that at Chernobyl. Like, this is 1 month ago, though. They're telling you Unit 4, this building here, that they tore down. And they tore it down to this first. Have a good boo at that. Okay. They done that remote controlled cranes and homeless people surrounded by lead flooring and stuff like that, allegedly. They got, they threw in the immigrants who don't speak the language, don't understand what they're doing. Right. Now, inside of that building, here's Seth Dorn.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
Inside of what? Unit 4. He's inside of that?
Of the decommissioning work taking place here.
He's got a little documentary out where he went there, and that's him in Unit 4. Not only that, Miles O'Brien says he's in the same building. I'll save you the headache, but I'll show you the intro.
Before we left, they carefully scanned all of us and checked the dosimeters that we carried along the way.
It's not bad enough we got TEPCO telling us that we're stupid, that we're morons, and who's he telling that to? He telling that to the media. This will drive him crazy on the internet. Yeah, but it'll murder your children and your friends and your families and your loved ones and everything you covet. It'll destroy that. You just killed the Pacific Ocean. And now you think you can just make up a story and bury that? Oh, we're corporations, okay. Media should come out and protect us right around the world, in every country. It says like a banana or a potato chip, we're walking in the sunshine. Have somebody sold us a bridge that is not there? Can you understand the significance though? Just let me touch on it for a second. 260 days, we went through the coastline. Instead of looking like that, or like this, or like that, or like this. Now this is Louise Narrows, pre-Fukushima. This is Louise Narrows, pre-Fukushima. Now I dove the coastline of British Columbia, Canada, and the east coast of Canada, and all the provinces, for 14 years. And so I'm used to all this. This is normal for me. This is what I understand. This is what I went looking for. When I got there, this is what I found in the same spot. Bear with me. Now the 4 million other species never even receded the coastline. And you lost 5,600 highly visible species in Louise Narrows. And I'll show you more about this. Should look like that everywhere. It looks like that everywhere. In one of the most coveted spots in Canada. And nobody bothered telling you about it. So we done 260 days. Let me boot up to that for you. 260 days. In pure shock. Now, we were going to take specimens because normally it would look like that. So what's the big deal? I had a couple of thousand bags. We didn't know what we were going to do with it. We didn't know who we could trust it. But we were going to go take specimens, and we built an operation. And everything you see was donated to us in increments over the whole trip. So instead of going there to take samples, the trip became about telling a story and showing the documentation. And that the whole coastline was now eradicated. And that we done it in a little dinky for 260 days, up to 5 months without coming ashore. I'm very proud to do it in a little dinky. I have no issues with that. I would have loved for it to be something reasonable. But the fact that we went out there and took these pictures, and that we put that up at the nuclearproctologist.org for all the media on the planet and all the marine biologists to go there and say, well, holy smokes, there's the documentation of the whole coast of Canada. The GPS is provided for each spot. Some of these places were done 2 or 3 times, 5 or 6 or 7 days at it, in each hour, or a week or a month in each section. Trying to collect, like, you know, you got to go and you got to live in the environment, yeah? You got to get out there in the middle of nowhere. That's why you see all those jerry cans. And so I can get out 400 miles away in the middle of nowhere. And then this little dinky, it's got a 2.5 gallon tank on it, and that'll do you the entire week. Whereas this tank can burn $100 an hour. And so you get out to your site, and I was packing 1,200 pounds of fuel. I had no one to help me. I was lost all along the coastline, caught in storm after storm after storm, because I understood from my history that that was missing, see? And I understood by that bird that was over my head on that beach that if he was an old bird, he, like more than 5 years, he would understand that everything is missing. Just like myself, who have dove the entire coastline of Canada and worked at every industry and been a skipper over a dozen commercial dive vessels, understood what he was looking at, which is me. Somebody who had worked at every industry in both oceans, and somebody who studied nuclear extensively, probably more than anybody else in Canada, and somebody who has put out more material than anybody on the planet, not wanting to do any of it. And think of the enormity of what I done. Think of how hard and how many people sacrificed and donated for that to happen. Was that not a worthy cause? Did I not do what was necessary to be done? I couldn't take samples of something that's not there. And when I'm being demonized on the internet by a lunatic who says, there's not actually a lunatic, and we'll make a video about that coming up in the next couple of weeks with all the documentations, take you right down that rabbit hole of this person. You know, accusing me of killing a person and then saying he committed suicide, but not saying Dana was on the ocean, right, and never came ashore for another 4 months, but the expeditions never ended until September the following year. And then, but every day post those videos with those headlines, but no proof, but also ludicrous assertions blaming me for someone's suicide who donated something to the expedition. And every part of the boat is donated. Every part of the expedition is donated. Am I beholden to the people who donate to me on a .org on an expedition why it's happening? And that is the ludicrousy of this person who claims that he's just an average blogger. But there's something much more dark there, for sure. And we phoned him yesterday. And he made the assertion that he contacted me by email in 2014, at the very beginning of the conversation. And that shows you how to touch of reality when we're in 2016, May the 6th. And he's referring that because of that email that I was probably unaware of, never even checked for, that gave him the right now to attack me for 2 years, posting videos up on 4 different sites with salacious headlines to demonize me and vilify me and marginalize me. The story goes much deeper than that on that person. But they're doing that because of what I'm showing you right now, because of what I was doing. I was out showing that this doesn't exist anymore, and that the 4 million other species didn't recede the coastline, and that I was documenting it in increments, in extreme cruciating detail, and having to upload it constantly onto my website, and then building an operation. And so what Dots is saying is that I got to take everything off the boat and give someone the boat back because I didn't take samples that are not there. And I'm a bad person, therefore it's worthy to demonize me. See, that doesn't make any sense, right? How can you, that's like taking boats back from Greenpeace because you're not happy with them. It's so stupid. So the only thing that makes any sense, right, you're trying to control the opposition. So that's how you control the opposition. So the fight is all about the boat, not the extinction event on the Pacific Ocean. The fight is all about Dana caused someone to commit suicide, but not mention the fact that I was on the ocean for another 4 months before I made it home again on the expedition. But I defrauded Jeff Palco because I didn't get samples that no one agreed upon, only me, that I was going to try to get samples. I was the guy who agreed upon anything I was going to do on the ocean. I'm the only person who said, I'm going to try to do this and I'm going to try to do that. And I had no concept I was going to do the entire coastline of Canada. How could I? How could I know that the entire coastline was going to be an extinction event? But how could I not know when I'm a ex-commercial diver? And that, 7 years ago I had a business, Marine Channel Productions Limited, that was going to put 100 cameras underwater and sell that on the internet. But what I ended up with, when I went out there in the low tide zone, was an extinction event that I had no concept of. Because see, normally when you go ashore it's dangerous because it's slippery, right? That would be normal. Now you can skedaddle anywhere ashore and you can't slip if you wanted to. Right? Normally when you're going ashore, let me find a typical picture if I can. That's not really, like when you go ashore, it's a very slippery environment the closer you get in low tide. Normally, this is normal, right? So trying to crawl up there, bring your boat in, that's a typical spot. Your whole coastline, every millimeter of it should look like that as you come ashore. But as you get into the details, you see this, see? But now we go to the exact same spot as naked, and the 4 million other species didn't recede the coastline. I know that was a long rant that time. My apologies for conveying the same story every day about this, because that is the story and it'll never change, that everything is gone and I can't. You will starve to death anywhere on the coastline. There's less than 100 species. The bird species are gone. The insect species are gone. The whole expedition was an involving expedition. We were exploratory. We weren't guaranteeing anybody anything. We were going out and having a look. That's what the whole thing was predicated upon. Was please fund Dana, me, so I could go find out myself whether this is real. That's how I saw it, and I'm sure that's how I portrayed it. If you go look through the videos. Mind you, the government made me take down 300 of my videos recently after I was arrested. I was arrested for 2 videos. But those 2 videos, that wasn't a court order to take down. They were taken down the day I got out of jail by strikes from ghost accounts. But I had 24 hours to purge my site of the names of 2 people from Woods Hole and University of British Columbia in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Same place as Connecting Dots is from. I had 2 court orders. No orders to take that down. Now, I had a court order before to take down a Benghazi video. Yeah? And what I done was, I took it down. This was from America, from a judge. I took it down and I reposted it about 4 hours later with another explanation. The exact same video, but with a short explanation in the front of it, still up at my site. So I'm familiar with what a court order is all about. That's all I'm saying to you. And Dots's part was used as a witness in my court case against me from a newspaper article from Gibson, where he was cited as the source that I was a fraudster and that I was trying to fix the ocean, raising money to fix the ocean, when I was raising money to go out and exploratory, and which is what I done, and for 260 days and 15,000 miles of the coastline. So see, I don't got anything. That's why I do what I do every day, to hide away from or to be ashamed of, because how can I be responsible for somebody who might have committed suicide? But when we looked at the obituary, there was no families or loved ones named there, and when we called up the funeral home list, that there was no plot in Jeff Palco's name. And the nuclear industry, of course, is notorious for controlling the opposition, right? Coming in and funding it and then controlling it, and then if not, coming out and using it to demonize that they stole it from somebody. So I'm being accused of stealing the boat from somebody who committed suicide while I was on the boat on the ocean. Now, the boat didn't have a cabin or anything else on it. All of that is what we built out of donations. To go 260 days throughout the entire coastline, to document an extinction event along the coastline for 15,000 miles minimum, and also show that the bird population went from 168 residential and 149 migratory to 11 species along the coastline, and how the krill and the sardines and the anchovies and squid and the 6,500 invertebrates without the backbones, they're like little shrimps. They're the basis of what we can visually see as the food chain. But we also showed that because the krill didn't show up and the phytoplankton didn't show up, because we were out there for so long, right through that whole bloom, where the bloom should have been there, which is what brings the migratory through the coastline. See, that bird will starve to death over my head on those beaches. Yeah? Because those beaches don't look what they used to look like that. That's what a beach used to look like. It would break your neck trying to go ashore anywhere in British Columbia. And I can say that authoritatively because I ran a dozen commercial boats here alone. I had 30,000 hooks on the East Coast, 32,000, 120 gill nets. We had traps and a litany and a history of the ocean. And so I worked every other ocean with outstanding reputation and was never fired from a job until I ran the operations. I took over the operations and was the skipper and the lead divers on the operations in both oceans. The majority of all the time. Not that I wanted to be, but that was the way to get the job done. That was the way to keep the operation running. That was the way to keep the money coming in. And I coveted that. Up to 315 days a year, year after year, on the ocean. And up to 6 days an hour every day on the ocean floor. Plus, every spare chance I got, I was sports diving in the ocean, looking for Davy Jones's lockers. And right now, let me tell you a story. Just a stupid story that I think about sometimes, that you're going to find interesting, whether you want to or not. I'm going to have a cigarette without 7,000 chemicals. Don't have a seizure. Have a seizure, though, when the media tells you nicotine gives you cancer, because why don't they tell you about the 7,000 chemicals that are in cigarettes? And do you suppose that is why people are so addicted? And do you think it's right to victimize people that are addicted to 7,000 chemicals that don't understand that? And demonize them and sniff and snob them because they happen to smoke? Because they can't stop it because they're addicted to 7,000 chemicals. Mine don't have 7,000 chemicals. It's still addictive. But that's because I was addicted to 7,000 chemicals. Hang on, I'm going to tell you a good story. Because I'm in such a good mood today. The Pacific Ocean is dead. We can't stop the reactors. We only send in the homeless and the destitute and the victims of society and the immigrants who don't speak the language into Fukushima's reactors. And they're beat up and destroyed and vilified and attacked by the mob to go do things they don't want to do. And then they're thrown away like paper towels. But Chernobyl is just a paper towel compared to any of the reactors in Japan. Yeah? Okay, let me tell the story. I can't show you the coastline of the East Coast right now, but this is the West Coast. Now this has 26,000 islands. Its continental shelf is 50 miles offshore. And it has some of the highest tides in the world, up to 24 feet. It's very fast currents. Okay. The East Coast is different in that. Now, I dove in the Bay of Fundy for months, and that's the highest one in the world, 52 feet. And it's like trying to pick something up when you're in an airplane. Reach down and grab something as you're going across the ground. It's ludicrous. But anyway, I got out of that and moved to calmer waters. And one of the things I used to do to find, like, say, harvesting, but also exploratory in particular, is I'll hang off the side of a boat in my gear, and I got a rope and I'll hook it around my wrist, and I float at the surface with a bit of air in my suit, and I'll point to where I want the tender driving the boat to go. And so one day, sports diving like that, I launched a boat, and I didn't have anybody to help me that day, so I was out anyway. And I was snorkeling. And so I was just snorkeling. I go out and just stop the boat and leap in the water and snorkel around and swim back to the boat. Climb aboard the boat, go to another spot and snorkel around until I was sick of it. And I couldn't make my mind up what I was looking at. I thought it was sand dollars. And I was like, well, I'll come back with somebody and I'll suit up and go down and have a look. And so I came back with somebody the next day because I had this weird feeling anyway. It was winter time too. I had a few days off from work. I was diving on the East Coast, and I was looking for old pirate wrecks on the East Coast. So I was looking for cannons and stuff like that because the ship would have broke down by then, and gold or something like that. But anyway, I had found bottles. So I go down. I didn't understand it at that point, but I went back, and I had 2 tanks with me, and it was just 1 tank at a time because that was sports diving, right? But I had 2 tanks, another one on the boat. And anyway, I went down, and here was bottles. They were stacked about 12 feet, 18 feet high. But along the shoreline, it was a wall of bottles. And so on 2 tanks, by the time I finished it, I estimated it to be at glass prices at that time about $60 million or so. And there's a reason I'm saying this today, anyway, because, and I'll bring that up and show you why that story came up today. It's just interesting, I think. And it's just a parallel of over 60 million killed by nuclear fallout was a headline that came out last night, and I was thinking about the $60 million jackpot I knew about under the ocean that you couldn't recycle. Now I contacted all the glass companies along the coastline. Here, I'll move myself over. I'll just finish off that story. I contacted all the glass companies, and I had one company who was thinking about sending me 15 trucks a day. And I had built up I had worked out with an engineer, an underwater vehicle, just a weld job, that I can drive out and plow into the glass. Like, think about the back of a dump truck. Think about that. There's a cage that lifts up, and I go right in, I scoop it all up, and I had water jets would lift all the bottles up. And it was driven by starting motors. But it was good for 10 or 15 feet underwater. It was good for like a 10 or 15 foot pile that you run into over and over and over all day long. But that whole bay was a bowl, see? So the shoreline was about 10 to 15 feet for most places. With that in mind, and it just never, I just never ever done it. But it was about 1 square mile of glass, and the minimum depth on the 2 tanks, because I went along the shoreline and just at the surface for quite a long way, and then I would dive down. I took out about 50 samples. Now at the bottom of it, what I was doing when I went out and finally out into the middle of it, and I dug my way down into it, it was all beer bottles on the top. And then as you went down through it, it was the heavier bottles. And then you got every Coke bottle and every Pepsi bottle and every ginger in history that they ever sent to the East Coast and sold. People would go down to the shoreline and drink their pop in the harbor on a nice sunny day, and they throw their bottles out into the ocean, and they float away and sink. But because the harbor was a huge one, and the bay is a bowl, and the icebergs can't get in there and crush it all up because it rises up at the mouth of the harbor. That's why it's a good harbor. And the big icebergs can't get in there. Now, I seen vases, and I went to a professor, and they were fairly long, at another spot, and they had pointy tips on it, and at the time it confused me, and I went and talked to a professor, and he told me, I never told him what I had found, but I asked him, I had brought him a lot of pieces that I had found on the ocean floor, but none of them were of those vases. And he told me they were from a country that that would stick the vases in sand, right? And I said, not snow. He said, no, sand. But he said, well, we work in snow. And I never did go back to that one. There's quite a few of them there. Now, the icebergs did come in there. That's probably why I found those vases. They were dragged up by icebergs, but there was quite a few broken ones. But they probably predate Columbus. Some of the shards did anyway, from an area close by. But they weren't from the parts of the vases. They were different clay. Now, the World Health Organization's, like I've heard politicians say no one has ever died from anything nuclear. I've heard politicians say that on the Senate floor, no one hold them accountable. And then the media that was monitoring those feeds at C-SPAN never held them accountable, never even put it out there. Never collected it, probably collected it to blackmail them later with. They got a whole list of things they said on the floor and then come in and say, hey, you're going to say this or we're going to show the public that. You said this and you said that. Because on the floor, they get away with it. No one monitoring them. Only Mox. Mox News on YouTube is monitoring for the most part. cspan.org or whatever, right? But everybody got C-SPAN into their homes. No one monitors them. There they are, and you can take that and clip that. That's free. That's free. You can monitorize that, make a documentary with it, and put it up on Netflix. It's free. Right? You paid for the C-SPAN feed, right? That's yours. So you can put that up on your YouTube channel. That's free. You can't get a strike on your account for putting your politicians from C-SPAN up on your YouTube channels. That's open access. Anyway, Chernobyl. The truth was never told in public and never will be. I mean, you got 600 pilots, but you don't see that in the World Health Organization or ERPA or the International Atomic Energy, and they're all the same people on each of the boards. So the consensus worldwide is a consensus of a handful of people that are not actually people. They're fucking demonic, twisted, demented, soulless, spineless turds who hide away and shiver when you shine a light on them. No! Don't! No! Catherine Heagley is one of them. John Boyce in America is another radiation expert. Demented! We've covered them last week, right? Earlier this week. What the hell? They got charts of bananas and potato chips, walking in sunshine and different natural radiation here and natural radiation there, and there's natural radiation here, so the man-made is not going to hurt you. There's got to be homeostasis. It's not bad for you. These are people giving people chemotherapy, say it's not bad for you, have some more. God is waiting for you, have some more. Here we go. Yeah, bye-bye. They're literally doing that in their little minds. Because they're telling the public it's like a banana. It's like a banana. Right, I showed the videos. To the press. And the press is like a banana. Well, here's 60 million. This is just, I think there's a couple of billion. Look, there's 110 billion people have already passed away on the planet. And my heart goes out to every one of them, and their friends and their families and their loved ones. And some of them deserved it, the majority didn't. The ones who were in the basement of the Queen's Castle being torn apart by those big machines, they probably didn't. They were starving to death and they shot a little deer. Never gave the Queen their share. And got stretched till he popped like a fucking popcorn. The 60 million bottles on the East Coast in shallow water. $60 million worth back then. Price probably hasn't changed much. It was like $1,700 a transport truck load. If I can pop out a dozen of them a day, we had a little vehicle for about 50,000. I couldn't get anybody to invest in it back there. No one would touch it. Well, how do you know they're there? Well, I just burnt 2 tanks. What the fuck do you think I'm doing? Well, Jesus, you can sell a bottle. Well, I got 16 trucks ready to come every day, minimum. If we can get more, they'll take that too. They're going to give us a backhoe and everything else if we can get the spot and get through the mayor's office and everything else. Worked at it really hard, couldn't do it. And everybody wanted to know where it was, and I wouldn't tell anybody. Fuck you. Every one of you. Why would I, right? Can't trust them. That's the nuclear industry. Telling you there's no one dead. Look at it, look at the people, document it. But think about there's 110 billion already died on this planet. Think about 5 billion people on this planet is not even connected to the internet. We're not connected to them. Think about the 4 million species are missing on the coastline that never receded the coastline are missing. And at the 5,600 that we are the indigenous population, the 600 algae, the 78 species of sea anemones, 76 species of starfish, all the periwinkles, the snails, the mollusks, the oysters, the clams, the little necks, the manillas. Excuse me. I mean, the hair and the anchovies, the squid are gone. Whoa, bad. You're in trouble. Not only that, they're gone because the krill is gone. Everything's dependent upon the krill. That's why all the seals and sea lions, that's why the 3,000 bears now in the Arctic, 3rd year in a row, just like the sea lions, emaciated. They're going to starve to death. Apparent abundance of food, though. They're going to. You think a bear gives a fuck what he eats? Oh, not eating the old penguin anywhere. I had too many of them last year. You really think that's what's going on with the bear's mind? Think about how much radiation came out of those reactors. I got no idea which one I'm clicking at anymore sometimes. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Keep going. It doesn't look like that, okay? Even though it's the official picture, it looks like that. All right? So it's like, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm fucking... That's the official picture, though. That's the official picture. But fuck it, I'll go and watch CBS anyway. People are crazy. That's the official picture. Unit 4. No! Dana, here's the new official picture. So how can you, like, what planet? That's the official picture, not that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because all the reactors survived like that, right? That never happened. That never happened. That never happened. That is a figment of your imagination. Nobody says that happened. That never happened. That never happened. They never got power. They had power all the time. Dana, shut up. That's a lie. She's faking it. That's a fake, Dana. That's fucking foolishness. That's retarded. Oh, what the fuck is that? 30 million bags. On top of everything else. On top of that, on top of that, on top of that, on top of it, on top of it. On top of it. Say there was 15 reactors, right, in that zone that went down. See, that zone is where all the people died. Yoink. That zone is where all the people died. Now, I'll put this up in 1080, high quality on YouTube. I'm connected up with the software company this afternoon. So, if you're a government, leave my fucking phones alone for an hour so I can get that sorted out. So I can live stream at YouTube. Yeah. Schedule up for this afternoon. Now, I'm going to go out in the boat. I'll be gone all weekend. Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday maybe. Thursday, Friday, Saturday hopefully. And so if I raise about another couple of $100, we raised $550 in the last couple of days. And so that's fantastic. And now I got tanks of fuel on the boat. That justifies me going out and burning those tanks of fuel. And that covers any kind of emergency that I might run into, right? That I'll have that ability. And I can access that through a friend of mine that I can call up on because I got the money in my account to cover it after, right? Blah. But the weather is perfect, is why I'm saying it that way. The weather is perfect. And we went up to Jasper, and I still haven't imported those pictures. And let me check the volume on that, make sure it's not brutal. So the weather's not going to be like that, see? So I'm going out after I get... So you'll see some tests coming up this afternoon on YouTube and on live stream. I'm going to try to get them to marry them up for me, make sure I can... Because I'm having so many problems with it, I'm tortured. I'm just going through all the literature for the last couple of days. I tried for a day and a half there and I was tortured with the videos and everything. But, okay, so... That was on the way back from the end of the expeditions, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the trip home. That was the trip home. Is it? I can't remember. Yeah, trip home. It's written there on you got to be right. Now, Jeff Palco was dead for 4 months at this point. I was on my way home, back home. I hadn't been home for 160 days total before I'd been home on that particular trip. And, you know, who knows how many other people might have committed suicide or died. Now, would Jeff have committed suicide if I didn't go on the ocean and if he didn't buy me the boat? Who knows, right? And, you know, if he did commit suicide, my heart goes out to him. But the obituary didn't have any loved ones, and it didn't have, the funeral home didn't have a plot with his name on it, didn't know who he was. And so, see, that seems suspect. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. There's nothing I can do about it. But I talk to Jeff Go all the time. And Palco didn't want no boat back. Why would he? He donated it to me. I did when the controversy because of Idiot Head Dots. And we got some more documentation today that's bullying Jeff Palco on December the 10th. That was 14 days before he committed suicide. And so we got confirmed documentations from Dot's website, very high quality, of Dot's bullying him, telling him to take the boat away from me while I'm on the ocean. Because I didn't get samples or something. He didn't say that there, but he said I was a fraudster. But I was on the ocean doing the expeditions. And like I said, all along the way was we're going to have to keep going. We're going to have to keep looking, and we were posting it up at the website every time we found an internet connection. And you would spend all night with this stupid internet connection in the middle of nowhere trying to upload these high quality pictures. And so what I was doing was taking screen captures, lower quality, and posting it with a shitty bandwidth in the middle of nowhere that I don't know anybody. Wanting to go home back to my whatever and go to sleep out of it. And then when I got ashore, I spent months uploading it every chance I got, and then hitting back out on the next expeditions, right? And then as I came ashore finally, last year, we uploaded as much as we can, and then we started the blogging at the same time. And then we were attacked and had computers killed. We kept blogging, got on our computers non-stop, got arrested when I came home from the last one, and vilified in the mainstream media, but nobody bothered mentioning what the real story was. And then 5 court appearances, and then I got a 600-pound gorilla on my back claiming I killed somebody, and then saying by causing them to commit suicide, not telling people I was on the ocean. So completely disingenuous and completely fucking stupid. Completely out of touch with reality. Completely fucking what? How can Dana be responsible for someone committing suicide if they did? If it's actually true. If it's not the industry. But it looks like it was the industry. But who knows for sure? They're very sneaky people. They run covert operations all the time. They have fake IDs, fake bank accounts, fake fucking addresses, all paid for by the system, who burns through billions and trillions every year. Telling you, the terrorists are going to get you. Meanwhile, Fukushima are going to destroy everything you ever hoped to see. It's already gone anyway. British Columbia, Canada has been destroyed. It's been destroyed. We documented that on the boat with the documentation I've been showing you all night. Yeah? Anyway, we covered 9,000 headlines before I went on the ocean. Think about that. And we also, right away, I went right away and grabbed Harvard and Stanford and MIT. And we covered 9,000 headlines, but I used to play these clips all the time. Let me play you a little short one. Right away, this was March the 16th, Harvard University. See, everything I supply is not me. It's all from the sources that you should be able to trust, yeah? Like Seth Dorn. But here's Harvard.
Firstly, Units 1 through 3 are suffering core damage, accidents, and perhaps spent fuel pool accidents as well. The spent fuel pool is located at the top of the reactor building, which in each case is damaged. Units 1 and 3, in fact, destroyed at that location.
And so I put those pictures in around it. Way back then. That was Harvard. In fact, destroyed. See, I had no illusions because not only did I do Harvard, I done MIT. And I done Stanford. April 11th. Stanford was March the 15th.
20 kilometers radius.
Talk about evacuation zones, spent fuel pools and everything else. But listen to the end of that one because it's a long one.
Fuel pool. However, since that time, TEPCO has said that there was an oil leak in a water pump and that was what was the cause of the fire.
Right? So not the building you're looking at. Right? And what else has TEPCO showed you? Right? What else has TEPCO shown you? This is Unit 4 he's talking about. So here's TEPCO. Let me come back up. Unit 4. Right? And that's TEPCO. 1 month ago, still telling you Unit 4 looks like that. Still saying that was an oil fire and that the pole looks like that. See? Right from the get-go, story never changed. A corporation is doing that to you, not Dina. That's a corporation. It's a corporation. It's not, right? And it's really evil. What it's done. And what it continues to do. And what it's doing right now by showing that picture. Enforcing the law. David Suzuki said if that collapsed. Does that look like it's going to fucking collapse, David? Moron who bought into it. I seen a paper that says if that collapsed, bye-bye Japan, and you have to evacuate North America. Well, guess what? Collapse, David. What he was talking about was the spent fuel pools at the roof. What roof? Do you actually understand what that roof looked like? Can you appreciate what that woof, 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 Fukushima hounds? That's not the fuel. Fuel pool was up a couple of more stories higher than that. Remember what the building looked like. See, that is reaching way the fuck up, not in through the side of the building to get at a fuel pool. If the fuel pool was down in the building, it wouldn't be reaching up to the top of it like it is right there, see? It'd be reaching in through the side, because the side is all fucking open, and it can't look like that. So why did Seth Dorn, why did... choking in anger, getting wound up, because here's CBS. Not only CBS, but CBC and everybody else came out. Here's Noah's model, just based upon 2 days releases from a single reactor, not based upon the meltdowns, the melt-throughs or melt-outs. I'm jumping through. I'm not playing it. Okay, let's play it. Think about that. Fukushima iodine, see, 131. 10 times more iodine, 132. 30 times more. Oh, where'd that go? Smurfed that up, right? That wouldn't play for some reason. This one's based upon 137. You'll find this in super high quality. That Beautiful Girl by Dina, after this Norwegian Institute modeling. I've just cesium 137. Okay. The plume is stretching all the way across the Pacific Ocean. Constant, endless stream of just a tracer, and all the way across our continents. And it came across your continent first. It hit your continent. It came out of Japan. Japan is over to the right, yeah? And then as it breaks in on the other screen to the left, that's coming across the Pacific. So right away, see how it doesn't circle around Japan? It all goes straight. Look, barely touched Japan, went over to China and everywhere else. Now it's coming to Japan. It's right in the center on your right-hand side. So all of Japan is completely covered. But if they were to include all the radioactive isotopes, or let that model run for about 5 years, but look, that's backwards. Let's do that one more time. It's coming out, but it doesn't touch Japan. No, boy. No. The winds don't. There you go. And what's the date? 2011, the third day, the 21st. It finally covered all of Japan. But nevertheless, it just covered all of Japan. Oh, by the way, look to your left. It covered the entire continent of North America, and it's never going to go away. If that was just a single plume, which is what that model is based upon. The camera's screwing up on me, Dana. Sometimes it does that, eh? You got to move it just a little bit closer. But what that does is resizes my image. Okay, this model is only based upon 2 days releases from a single reactor. I'll stop it right there. It's about to hit North America, but it already hit Alaska. Now Alaska's getting boxed in. There's nowhere safe to hide. Okay. It's stretching right across the Pacific Ocean. But it's only based upon a single isotope. And it's because there's such a big volume. A gram of natural potassium-40 has about 160 atoms. A gram of man-made has around 88 times 37 billion atoms. So a gram of man-made is incontestably more volume versus natural. Natural, and it can't hurt you. Natural is everything's acclimated to it through genetic superior selection. See, if I slow down, I only get so much into a 1 hour. If I go boom, 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 you get too much into 1 hour. So, I'm going to play a video on the external. We wind this down. For the weekend, does that not outrage you that TEPCO is coming into our press and telling our press that, and our press is too fucking stupid to go say, hey, wait a second. Looks like that. They're not too stupid, see? No, they went down there and faked it, for Christ's sake. The TEPCO didn't need to come all the way here, set Dorn and Miles over.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
There's the decommissioning work at Reactor 4, Miles. You are set, you soulless, heartless, soulless. It's just shocking that people like that exist. It's shocking that our press would sit there and listen to somebody. Why not get up and walk out? Because they're not there to do that. They're there to listen to whatever he says, write it down, and find a way to support it. And sell it to you and your friends and your family and your loved ones, so you can't have a conversation with them. So you can't talk to somebody. Because they're like, I've seen TEPCO, Dan, it just showed us pictures. But these are TEPCO's pictures too. That's TEPCO's picture. That's TEPCO's picture. Do you think they brought in the world's biggest truck and the world's biggest plane behind it? To put it alongside of the reactor? You see to the left? Because it looks like that. I know, that a lot of people out there think man-made radiation is not gonna cause any issues, but it did, right? We done missions for life throughout the whole coastline, and it's all gone. And we got to do something. We can't wait. We can't sit back and pretend it didn't happen. And if we do, we're going to end up in the same position as Fort McMurray. Fort McMurray, I'm going to show you a video from Fort McMurray that I think tells the whole story. If I can ever find it. There was a few there, but there was one guy there who was trying to save his house. And that tells the story. And so I'm going to play it on the external. The audio won't be that good. But Fort McMurray, I'm from Newfoundland originally, but I've been gone 25 years. But Fort McMurray is full of people just like me, from Newfoundland, but also from all over the world. But the majority of them are from Newfoundland. And even when it's burning down around you, I'm not saying he's 100% from Newfoundland, but all of his neighbors are. And that will change your life when you're surrounded by people that have that worth ethic, that left everything behind because they had no option and went away and done okay, but they worked in the worst industry imaginable. But, they're honest people, the majority of these people that I know. They're exceptional people. It's a culture where if you break down on the side of the road in Newfoundland, 10 cars will pull over right away. And there'll be fist fights of who's going to change your tire. Kidding you not. You won't feel threatened at any time. It don't matter who you are. That's what will happen for you. Particularly if you're a tourist. Everybody will stop and help you, make sure you're okay, make sure you're safe. No matter who stopped, to make sure everything is good. Everybody's the boss. But the job got done right away, and everybody was smiling when he left. Trust me. Hang on.
So, folks, here's a...
Let's play that again. Shitheads with advertisements on the players now. What the hell? Here's a guy in Fort McMurray, British Columbia, Canada, where everybody just lost their home. 60,000 are homeless, apparently. I think it's going to be worse than that. It hasn't stopped. It's not going to stop for another couple of days. But this is what all of Fort McMurray, this whole community, looks like right now. And here's a man who might not have an insurance, or is desperate, who knows. But there are times when you walk away, and this is certainly, I guess, one of them for him. Even for him.
So, folks, here's the video. I tried. Pretty sad. It's what's all around me. That sprinkler's going in all directions. The thing's still holding its own. But it's all around. Not sure how much longer I can keep it up. But those who know me know I'm going to do my best. So here goes, but I don't like seeing what's down there. Anyway, time out. Love you all.
Yeah, he's got a gorgeous, huge home there too. And it highlights the perseverance and spirit of humans, I think, more than anything else. Every odd is stacked against him. Yeah? Every odd. All the odds are stacked against that guy. Even just getting out of Dodge now is stacked against him. The highways are plugged and he knows it. Everything around him is burning to the ground. And that is a community of friends and families where everybody knows everybody else's business. And you can't remember in that neighborhood, I can assure you, everybody, nobody there in that neighborhood suffers alone. Like before this happened. Now they're disbanded and they're all gone. They're gone. They're gone into the four winds. Everybody just got in their vehicles and ran, right? I'm sure most of you have seen the videos of that place. Driving through the neighborhoods where the embers are burning, flying right through the entire neighborhood and everything is on fire throughout the whole city. Where the winds haven't stopped. Where there's now, I went up to Jasper 2 weeks ago, which is the top of the Rocky Mountains. Now everything on the other side of that washes down and goes towards where? Towards Calgary. And everything behind that goes to where? First, Fort McMurray. They got a drought. Now there's around 80 wildfires in Alberta right now. That one happened to be at the city. And it consumed the city. Around 40 of them are equivalent, are out of control. And everybody cut their budget because they knew. They knew there was no melt, that the ice is gone from the mountains. And we proved this throughout the coastline of British Columbia, Canada, and now the Rockies. We're going to have to go back up there in the near future and document everything, now that we verified there's an issue. But this took 5,000 years to form, and this regulated the lakes and streams and rivers and estuaries and everything else, and caused this drought that caused these fires. British Columbia has 40 fires going right now. We don't know how many they're putting out or put out, but we know we still got 43 or something. But to see the spirit of that man, when everybody else is gone, and he knows he's supposed to be gone, he knows it's a losing battle when everything around you is on fire, and that it's not to him. See? He thinks he can win, and he probably will. He probably will win that battle, see? Because he made it that far. He made it to the point where everything is there, is burning around him. It's just a matter of suffering through it if possible, keeping the fires away from the property far enough and holding it together. But your house is going to stink like you can't imagine forever. But it's that perseverance to hang on to what is life to him. That's his life, see? He's got his whole life invested there. He probably left the same time I did, if he's a Newfoundlander. Hugs for everybody. We're going to come over and say that right here, right now on camera. To Dana. It's the weekend. I'm gone out on the ocean all weekend. And so if you're kicking my door in this weekend, you're in for a surprise. Trust me. Like you done when I came back from court. Disgusting. Jeffrey, everybody, Kay, Pam, White, X-Ray, Albert. What you looking for? Oomph. I haven't got my glasses. Pam, everybody. Let me see. I know Elaine was out there. Just cruising down, make sure. Shani can do your. Antonio! And everybody else. Daniel's just cruising. And I know it's one of those streams where we talked about the expedition more so than anything else, because that's the most important thing imaginable. That's the story. So is the fact that TEPCO is still claiming that Unit 4 is not damaged. Still claiming it looks like, these are both official pictures. These are all official pictures. Set Dorn took it a step further and claimed he's inside of a building that don't exist, that you can't get inside if you wanted to. Can't get in Chernobyl, can't get anywhere else. Okay, well, there you go. We actually made it through it. I still got to sit around and try to get the YouTube set up so that next week we'll be double streaming, or even triple, every day. And that's important, see? So then I'm going to head out before dark and find a spot to anchor. You can donate at the Nuclear Proctologist. We want to do more expeditions. You can donate at nuclearproctologist.org and with your credit cards or PayPal. You'll find it under The Beautiful Girl by Dana videos, link directly to it, and I'll post this video in higher quality right after that. This show is over. It'll be up in about 3 hours, and we'll see everybody when I get back. I'm not sure when I'm coming back, Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Depends. If we can raise a bit more money, I'll stay out a bit longer. And because the weather, we might not see good weather like this for another couple of months. So I'm going to go for broke, and let's look at it, do a look at the coastline and see what's going on out there right now. Hugs, everybody. We'll see you then.